Something that came up for me last week, probably about the 20th time I said to myself, I don't have time for this, or told somebody, I don't have time for this. For some reason, I started to think, well, it's not that I don't have time for this. It's more like I'm not making time for this, or I'm not going to make time for that. And it actually really was quite insightful because it completely changed my perspective. And it started to help me get really clear on what my priorities actually are, what actually makes me feel good, what do I actually want to do? And even if I don't want to do something, where they fall into my priorities. You know, life is so seasonal, but I really started to think, well, aren't the months, aren't the years, aren't the days even? Like, you think about it, your morning might be the most energetic time for you, or you're a night person, so the evening is more energetic for you. Or some months, especially many of us who just find that certain times of the month you really struggle to be productive and to get things done, and then sometimes you're just like ready to go. Years as well. I mean, there's so much ebb and flow to life. And it just made me think, so is that ebb and flow in terms of me prioritizing and me having to get things done. So when I started to shift my perspective and say, instead of I can't have time for this, or I don't have time for this, it's more like I'm just not going to make the time for this. I'm actually going to make the time for that. And I started to think, what are the things I can't make time for, but when can I make time for them? And is that going to make me okay? So for instance, this week, I was really focused on work, super focused on work. And I didn't get as many workouts in as I wanted. In fact, I didn't work out at all, which is very unlike me. But I was okay with that because I knew this was just a certain point in time and then I would get back to my schedule. And so I just said to myself, okay, what are the things I am going to make time for? And those things are the ones that were actually going to mentally and or emotionally get me over a hump, or get me to this next task, or gain some type of accomplishment. And while working out is very important to me, I knew that a week or two of not working out wasn't going to kill me for the rest of my life. So I just wanted to talk about that because I do think it's important to think about the ways we talk to ourselves and think about the ways that we view things. I mean, perspective really can be everything. And it's worth to somehow shift it if you can. You know, just like reword the way that you're talking to yourself. Instead of, I don't have time, I'm not going to make the time for this. This also helps us set up healthy boundaries with ourselves and other people, including our work relationships. How do we prioritize things in a way that makes sense for our goals and then in relationship with other people? So it really opens up a lot of dialogue too, which I think is important. And it just helps us keep in mind that nothing is forever, and some moments seem very stressful, and they are in that moment, but they too shall pass. And you can always come back to things, and you can always decide to let go of something. In fact, at the end of the day, shifting perspectives is one of the best ways to practice letting go, releasing, and moving on. And I think this is so important when we consider managing stress and creating habits and choices to help us create a health program that really makes sense for us, that takes into our personal experiences and lifestyle. And so much of that is stress management, stress recovery, and just really looking at things in our life where the perspective on it could completely shift how we view it and how we feel. So just some food for thought. I'm Caroline from Greenpoint Women's Health and Wellness. Make sure to like and subscribe.